Hey guys, what's up? I forgot to talk about this. I know I mentioned it, but I didn't show it. But now, my daughter is an artist. She's an illustrator. If you guys have been following me for a while, then you've seen the first book that she illustrated um, for Stephanie Morales, who is a Commonwealth attorney here in Virginia. Stephanie is. And the The ISBN number for this one is 978-1-7355676-0-0. And I'll put a link in the description box when this uploads to my YouTube for you guys because it can be purchased on Amazon. Um, see some of the artwork in here. Um, but you can find my daughter online as Star Wisp, and I'll put a link to her website as well if you're interested in getting any type of custom illustrations or some of her um, original pieces or prints and stuff. So the second book she did is called Bullying. It's right underneath your nose, and the artist is Yolanda Hinton. Um, so I think she has a couple more book projects as well as some of her own stories that she's illustrating. She just does the illustration. She doesn't do the layout work and stuff for the actual books. Somebody else does that. So, but I'll give you the information on this book. The ISBN number is 978-09899-083-3-7. All right, so that's Bullying. It's right underneath your nose. Okay. So I've been meaning to share that with you guys, and I kept forgetting the book's just been sitting there, and I want to put it up so it doesn't get lunified or Antoine-fied or thrown up on by my little pretty princess Antoinita. So so that's all that's going on right there. Um, as far as knitting and crochet, I am on the home stretch with my grandson's big boy blanket. I'm gonna call this the little boy blue blanket because it's a bunch of different shades of blue and some variegated blue. So it starts off with that dark blue, then you go to the variegated, which has all the blues in it. You go to the lighter blue, back to the dark blue, to the light blue, and now back to the variegated. And then once the variegated is done, which is this one, it's Mary Matson's Value Yarn. This reminds me a lot of the line brand Pound of Love, as far as its softness and the way it crochets or knits. It's not splitty at all. It's a beautiful yarn as far as having stitch definition and doing what you want it to do without being frustrating. I hate a yarn that's loosely plied. As since I'm a spinner, I prefer yarns that the ply is very nice. Well, you don't have to worry about your hook or needles splitting it. And I have found that this Mary Matson Value yarn is a favorite of mine when it comes to buying yarn for a larger project now, or even a smaller project. I really like Mary Matson's yarns. I find myself now as I go through my stash, making blankets and shawls and ponchos and stuff, that I'm starting to buy more Mary Maxim or line brand type uh, spun yarns, as far as them not being splitty yarns. I do not like. So you can see how it's plied. But I really like the yarn, and I think I have one more of the dark blue because I didn't know if how much I was going to need, since this is the first time I'm doing a large blanket style project with the Mary Matson yarn. It comes in it's a size 4, and it comes in 474 yard balls, and these are made in China. You know, they change their manufacturers at the drop of a dime. So if it starts getting made in Turkey, then I expect the quality to go up, the price to go up, because the Turkish yarns are almost like microfiber soft. Um, but yeah, I have those 2 balls left to put into this one. And then I'm also working on the Bag O' Day virus shawl, the one with the back post for texture. And I'm doing that in the leftover Pound of Love ball to try and work through that. So this is how far I've gotten with that. This is the textured side in this yellow. And I'm just going to use, it's just going to be in yellow. It's a real pretty buttery colored yellow. So I'm just going to use this up to make the virus shawl. And then if there's enough left over, I'll do some matching, either a headband or a hat or something to go with the shawl. Um, it all depends on how much is left once the shawl is as big as I want it to be. And since virus shawls tend to eat wool, I might not have enough of that. And what I'm not trying to go out and buy some more yarn, but I do have some more yellows. I have a red heart skein of yellow that I found when I went through all my whips. And I'm not sure how I didn't know over there in Whipville, but it was over there. So it's back in the stash bins. So I have that. I also have a one of the Karen cakes that has like it made me think of a tequila sunrise when I saw it with the yellows and oranges, but it also has some dark browns to purple colors. It kind of makes you think of I don't know, it makes me think of the planets, Jupiter in particular, and some of its satellites. So that is also something that I could make something to go with it, but I don't know yet. So if I'm going to make anything at all to go with that shawl. I also have a granny square that I was just experimenting with, doing different stitches and textures with, just from scrap yarns that I had that I was using. And I was just experimenting with texture with this one and doing different, as you can see right here, doing a different granny square, and then I like some spikes and stuff. So I was thinking about just keep experimenting, just using different stitches in this till it gets a lap game size, and then it'll be like a lap game for somebody. And because it's like I was using scraps. So this is some Caron cakes, just some, this right here I think is actually, I'm not sure what that was. Oh yeah, it was some Mary Matson yarn, some of that shiny yarn of theirs. And but it's fun when you do a color project like this because you can do what you want to. And then the other project I have is at the bottom of my little basket there, and that is another lap game that I have until before Christmas to get done. So I got plenty of time to work on that. And then this is my bag of, this is my scrap bag right here. And so I got all kinds of scraps in this bad boy. So this is my scrap bag. And so I even got some, this is left over from that shawl and a cake. You see, it's got some sparkly in it. I also use my scraps to tie my skeins of yarn from my spinning. So they get used up. And then sometimes if I have like a bunch of little pieces like this, I save those in a little Ziploc container, and I put them out in the spring for the birds to get them. And they don't last long. You'll be amazed at how the little strings disappear out of the yard where I put them at. You just swoop down, and next thing you know, it's gone. It's funny because every year I used to um rake out Tater's fur, and the birds would be lined up on the fence waiting. And as soon as we went inside and stuff, they would just come down, and all that fur, and it looked like somebody had blew a dog up in the yard, because he was a big dog, and it looked like somebody just took another dog and just blew it up, and there was fur all over the yard. But in 2 days, it was all gone, all gone. And it used to tickle me to walk around the neighborhood and see the new nest, and you would see little tufts of his fur sticking out of the nest. And it was just one of the things that I used to do with my dog that I enjoyed. Because even now, if you found some of those, like on the porch, there was a really old nest that I don't know if my husband knocked it down or it blew down. And then there was also a nest in it was above the light fixture in by the garage, and that nest had yarn woven in through it from where I had put yarn out. So it's always fun seeing stuff like that, knowing that you contributed to those animals having a nice warm nest for their babies. Granted, who knows if the babies made it, because the crows around here are vicious, and so are the seagulls. They are very opportunistic animals in this area, and they'll take a nest out in a heartbeat. But last night I was in a live with Sunita, Sadrina, um, Miguel, um, Margie, and Lord, I can't think. I can see her name. I can see her this screen. I can't think of her name right now. But I had a blast last night, guys. I truly, truly had a really good time sitting and talking with y'all and crocheting. And that's the thing about it. I've been pretty much inside for the last 2 or 3 years, only getting out. I can count on one hand how many times I've been out in a social environment around people I know. And I just didn't want to risk it, because I am a diabetic and I do have high blood pressure. And it was like, it's better safe than sorry. I'm an introvert anyway, so it didn't bother me not one bit, hanging around the house, the yard, and stuff like that. Um, but I really had a good time last night with y'all, a really good time. And I got a lot of work done on his blanket. I almost finished. Let me see. Probably right about here. There was only enough yarn to do like 3 more rows of this blue. So from here, because I just started the blue when I got into the chat. So from here to here, is how much I crochet, and which was almost a whole ball of that Mary Matson, just from talking and stuff. And you can see this is a twin size blanket with some that it has an overhang on each side of his bed. So I really had a good time last night, a real good time. So I thank you guys for inviting and allowing me into the panel with y'all. And meeting all the new people and stuff that I met last night, like Miguel and Margie. It was an honor hanging out with y'all last night. And I want to thank y'all for um, thanking us for our service. That it means a lot, because I don't think, if you haven't been in the military, if you haven't had a family member that's in the military, even though I've been out of the military for a long time and my husband retired, it stays with that person for the rest of their life. The experiences that they had, the places that they went, the loneliness. Um, People who understand loneliness and depression, people who've been in the military, because we've been separated for months and years at a time from our family members and loved ones, um, serving this country in capacities that some you can't even talk about, some you can talk about, but you have some of the stuff that you have to take to the grave with you. You won't never ever be able to talk about it. Um, and people don't understand how that can wear on somebody. And even years later, once you get out, it's not like a PSTD thing. It's just that was my life at the time. And you look at life in a totally different way once you're in the military and you get out of the military. My military was mostly, overall, I would say, 90% positive. The other 10% was negative, because of things that either happened to me or was done to me, either because I was a female or because of my skin color, or because people assume that because you are a Southern female of color that you're stupid and ignorant. And I've never seen so many in my life, people like that in my life, that as soon as they hear your accent, they go, "Oh my God, this girl must be ignorant." No, my accent is because of where I grew up, who I grew up around. That was what I grew up listening to, so that is how I learned to speak. It has nothing to do with your intelligence level, the way you speak. And it always made me mad because of the way some people would treat you, simply because of they would hear your accent and they would immediately form an opinion about you as a person. And then you had to bust their bubble. And once you busted the bubble, you didn't want nothing else to do with that person, because the person you could tell right then and there, they always gonna be prejudging people based on how they sound or how they look. So why would I want to have anything to do with that person? But those experiences, they add up, and you take them with you, and you try to stop yourself from treating people the same way. Um, but yeah, that's and then when we dealing with people who are coming onto YouTube and purposely, basically cyber stalking people, going to their Facebooks, trying to find out what they can about these people, so then they could come back to our YouTubes and be negative and say negative things and nasty things and disgusting things. And they're coming back and they're naming themselves people's who already have the names as their YouTube channel names, which I don't understand how that's possible. I don't know if they're putting like one of those invisible spaces or something so they can do it so it looks like the person's name, but it's not the person's name. And that way they can create a character slash channel like that. And YouTube is allowing it. They need a better way of, once you, of cutting people off at the IP address level, and not just if they're using various routers and other link hubs and stuff to try to circumvent YouTube. YouTube is owned by Google, so Google should have measures in place that can sandbox that person, isolate that person, and bust them down straight to their freaking computer they're using and block them at the freaking IP address service provider level. And then once the people realize, oh man, I can't do anything on Google or Gmail no more because I've been blocked down to that level, then they'll at least start leaving people alone and going about their business. Because it makes no sense for someone to be that negative and disgusting. That means that something is very wrong in that person's life, and they need help. They seriously need some mental help. It's either a cry for help, because anyone who acts like that and does things like that to that level has some serious mental, bordering on psychopathic social issues. That you're gonna go to this person's Facebook, go to this person, for any friends who don't have their stuff set for private or their security set up. You're gonna go to these people's Facebooks and find out about them, and then come back using these people's names, using their businesses. You're doing all this negative stuff. That is stalkerish. That is straight up stalker, cyberbullying level of intent, and it does need to be reported to the police, the FBI, or whoever, because if someone's willing to do that, what else are they willing to do? That's the way I look at it. But that's neither here nor there. That's what I wanted to show you guys today. It's been a long time since y'all got one of my talking tos, huh? But Sandrine, you see this fly swatter? I better see some squares tonight when you get back from your event. Better see some squares tonight. Well, I'm gonna spank Anita too. Yeah, what was it, that movie? Am I my brother's keeper? Am I my brother's keeper? I have to ask my husband. I can see it, and it had Pookie. Chris Rock was in there as Pookie. It had Ice-T in there as a cop. Daggone it! It's like it's right there. Ugh, y'all know what it is. Put it in the comment section below. It's like not coming to my mind right now. It's like I can see scenes in the movie happening. I just can't think of the title. Chris Williams was up there singing, and the Levert. Oh my God. Dang on it. Okay, I'm gonna let y'all go. Y'all take care.